Hello and welcome back to the Money Mindset Hub podcast. I'm your host, Carla Townsend, a money mindset and success coach who helps purpose-driven entrepreneurs to shatter their income ceilings and become rich and resilient. And today I have the beautiful Alisha Marfatia, who is the incredible founder of The Social Impact and was also the co-founder in an incredible Reels course, Rise with Reels, that you may remember from back in the pandemic days. You just went off. So she originally actually started as a blogger and then turned her passion into becoming the true queen of Reels. And now she helps coaches and service providers become highly influential queens of the screen through video marketing and magnetic messaging. Honestly, Alisha, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited. What an intro.
I know. Well, you didn't actually send one to me, so I just made that one up. I was like, that'll do.
Guilty.
It is so good to see you again. It's been many months now since we met at Jess Williamson's book tour.
Yes.
When you were the MC and you did a remarkable job. I still have a giggle at the reel that you made me film of myself, like walking towards her sign. You're like, turn around and flick your hair and all this. I still crack up now. I'm like, of course you're the queen of reels. Like, I felt so awkward. You were like, no, turn around, give me sass. So it was amazing. But honestly, since then, I have just seen you like blow up again in a different way, because I feel like you've really stepped into your power even more than what you already had.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've just witnessed, not stalkerish or anything, but like just an overview of you just like really stepping into your most confident self. No fucks given.
Yeah.
You're just radiating confidence right now. And I do actually recall you saying that you weren't always that confident. And I think that is something that, as you'd know, it's one of the things when you start as an entrepreneur and you're going to put yourself out there. Everyone wants more confidence before they start. But what would you say to the woman who's just trying to build her confidence before, she wants to be ready, but we all kind of know you can never really be too ready. You just got to start, right? What's your advice to her?
I feel like it really is just starting before you're ready, doing it before you feel good about it. It's, like if you wait for the confidence, if you wait for the feeling of, okay, I'm ready, you will never get things done. And the women who you see who are collapsing time and achieving these things at rapid rates, it's not about working harder, working longer. It's about their decisions to act before they feel ready. And the courage it takes from that is why so many people do not see the level of success they feel they deserve.
Yeah, 100%. It really is that chicken or the egg scenario, right? What comes first, the action or the confidence? No, it's literally just take unconfident action, and that's how you build it, through evidence. Saying that too, a really big thing of confidence that I saw really recently was you speak on stage in front of 400 odd women in the Freedom Queen live event. Like, can we just take a moment? To say, well done, bravo. That was amazing. How was your experience?
It was unbelievable. And if anything, it was a reminder of the power of in-person events. Like, it was transformational for me because I was able to step out on that stage. It's taken a lot of scary moves, a lot of moves that doesn't make sense, like the illogical action to get to where I was up there. And it really just left me in this place of like, there's no going back. Like, it's only that next phase from here. And so the power of being at that event, and can I say, like, there is a very different power. The US, like the women in the US, like their enthusiasm, their magic at the events, like, it's why I've already booked 2 more in the US this year, because it's just something on a whole new level. It's like there is no ceiling, there is no limits. And so really for me, it's like, okay, I just need to tap back into that energy, because it's no going back now. We're only going bigger and better.
Oh, I love it. And you know what? That is so funny that you say it, because I recorded my first solo episode yesterday as like back in 2025. And I literally said my mantra for this year is go big or go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So exactly what you're talking about. But I find that so interesting that it's this different energy in the US. Do you reckon it's because there is just so many more people over there? Like in comparison to the population in America and what it is to Australia, like we're pretty tiny compared to them. They have like what, like over 600 million more people there?
Yeah, a couple more,
Yeah.
a couple more. I've built a really beautiful community of women, especially like all across the world, and I've heard it from many different experiences, and even Europe. A lot of the women in Europe find the same thing, is that America just seems to have like this limitless attitude. And I don't know if you've found it, and it's not everyone, absolutely, but I have found many times in Australia, and from what I've heard in Europe can be quite similar. There's that tall poppy syndrome, like it's other women wanting you to do well, but suddenly when you start doing well, it's like, oh, hang on a second, how did you get that? Be humble, like celebrate your wins, but still be humble. Shoot for the stars, but still be
Mm.
accessible with your pricing. Don't be too bizarre. Don't be too out there. Like, it's just very contradictory in a way that it feels restrictive sometimes. So working with surrounding myself with a lot of these women who are playing in a place of there truly is no limits is so powerful, and that's why I'm really trying to harness my energy into spaces that truly are that.
Wow. And they are some of the biggest blockers here for Australia for sure. There's something that pops up all the time. You've got to be humble. You can't be too successful. That actually brings me to a question that I had written down for you. Let me just throw that bit of paper over there. So, one thing, one thing that I actually had written down was a really common money block that I see in a lot of women is their fear of being treated differently because of their success. And that honestly leads into exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
You have got to be humble, this tall poppy syndrome. You can't be too good. Don't shine your light too bright. Don't take away from others.
Yeah.
So, did you ever have a fear of success or have you experienced an awkward moment now because of your success?
Oh, 100%. And as someone who always validated themselves so much based off the opinions and thoughts of other people, it went against everything in my core to go out and to be like true to myself and own my power and say things that feel right and I know will impact those who get it, but I also am very aware that it'll piss people off. And it's been probably one of the hardest things that I've had to move through in this probably past year and a half, where I'm moving in a way that I know will upset people, but I also know that I
What do
cannot.
you mean?
I think in a way that, like, you know, the beliefs. I know that things that I'm, like doing things that feel right because I've been working on myself more, because I've been learning more, I know better. It contradicts past me. And a lot of people don't like it
Mm.
when you suddenly seem different, when you're saying things that don't align up with the version of them that you know, that they know. And so people can become very comfortable with a version of you, and so when you start to change, when you start to do things differently, it can really test relationships, be it people who follow you, be it clients who work with you, be it friends that you've made. So I think the biggest thing is that as someone who was a people pleaser, and I still wouldn't say I've ticked it off, I've fixed it up, but the version of me 3 years ago would not be able to be as bold as I am right now because she would be so concerned what others are saying. And in order for you to truly own your power, you need to let go of the fact that you will upset people. I don't share too many money wins just because I find that if I'm always only sharing money wins, I find that the type of women I bring in, that's all they really care about as well, right? Not always, but it definitely changes the narrative in a sense. But I remember the first time I shared my biggest money win, I was like, okay, this is what's possible with video marketing when you really claim the screen with reels, $250,000 in just over a week. And I remember how frightened, how scared I was to post this. And I had people making reels about me. I had people like who were like, "Oh,
Wow.
these 20s, something year olds these days are only posting this, they only care about this." And I knew that people wouldn't understand it, but I also knew the people who would get why I was posting it would get it. And it's just examples like that that start to test relationships, start to make people not want to be in your world, trigger people, that sort of area there.
I mean, first off, congratulations. That's bloody amazing that you had that kind of money win. And I know that's not the only one. Like, you have had so many incredible wins to celebrate. But with that too, you have to have that level of confidence, which you build over time to be able to actually own that and claim where you're at and what you've done and celebrate yourself. Because a lot of women never celebrate their milestones. And it doesn't matter whether it is a monetary thing, whether it's like, I quit my job and I went all in, or, whatever it is. I created a podcast, or I created this program out of the top of my head, and someone bought it, that first sale. People don't normally celebrate that kind of stuff because, again, like what you're saying, they're scared of triggering the people that they love, that are the closest to them.
Mm,
But like you said, it's more so around their fear of losing a version of you that they're comfortable with.
yep.
It's not necessarily, I find with, close family and friends,
Mm.
it's not necessarily that they don't want you to grow and they don't want you to succeed. They actually do,
Yes.
right? Not to say everyone does, but many do.
Yep.
They want to see you succeed and rise, but at the same time, they're scared of you being criticized, you failing, it not working out, and them having to help you pick up the pieces. Like, they're scared of the what if when they haven't walked that path.
Yep.
But it's so interesting at the same time when you talk about triggers, because I always find, having done this work for many years and helped hundreds and hundreds of women now, that whatever is triggering you shows you what you actually want. Now, whether you accept it or not, or whether it's something like deep down it's still within your shadow that you haven't addressed, it is showing you what you want. So if you don't know what you want, like that, what do you want? What are you going for? What are your goals? Most people at the beginning either don't want to claim it, they don't want to say it because they don't want to be judged, or two, they actually have no idea, they have no clarity.
Mm,
The question to ask yourself is, what triggers you?
mm.
Like, who is triggering you at the moment, and what do they have that you potentially want? You just may not realize it yet,
Yeah.
because that is key. I always think you should just get curious when that kind of happens. And
Yes.
changing gears, but you said about the money wins as well. And I really love that you preface there the fact that, look, sometimes money wins can just be thrown around a lot and it can become distasteful. And I know I actually read a post you did recently on that,
Yep.
when I think you were holding up a piece of paper and it said like 50,000 or something.
Yes.
And I love that, because I love seeing people's money wins and stuff. I love it. Personally, for me, it's something I haven't chosen to do. Probably takes it to a whole nother layer. I have 3 little children. I live in a small town. There's a few other things I got to consider.
Yes.
So it's not that I don't discourage anyone from doing it. I think it's bold and it's brave. And if it feels good for you, 100% do it. I also love that you said it does get thrown around a lot. So then sometimes you can attract those people that only want that win. They want to replicate those results, not necessarily learn from you and raise their vibration because they're around you in that close proximity. It's more so like, well, she did that, I want that.
Yes. And I think the
It's
other thing as well
interesting.
is like, I have no limit on how many times people should be talking about their money wins, right? It is your brand. You get to decide what you want. You know who you're trying to call in. But my biggest thing, and it was funny because I made that post and it really was like I had a piece of paper and I wrote down a random number. Like, it wasn't even about my money win. It was just about the fact that people will say on reels, on carousels, on stories, on posts, I made X amount in X amount of time. And that's it. And it's
Mm,
almost become like
no context.
no context, and it's almost become this base of this foundation, what everyone does. And my point here is that I love money transparency and I love people sharing it. Okay, a past version of me would have absolutely been triggered. I did not like knowing what people were making, and that again was more about me and my insecurities around money. But it was women like Manifestation Babe, like Amy Porterfield, like one of my mentors, Stephanie, they claim it, they own it. And it's only them sharing this that allows me to see, like, wow, I thought this was possible in a year. Wow, like let's 10 times it. Let's raise the roof. Like at the moment, I'm playing in a 2-story building. Let's raise it by 10. And so it's women like that, and it's people who are transparent around it like that that make it possible. And that's why I'm full for transparency, right? But what I'm not for is that the fact that people are doing it and it's not actually working the way they think. It doesn't have the same power that it used to. These days, just saying my client made this much, I'm making this much, this is how much we made, like that doesn't prove that you're a leader. Because honestly, there's so many things these days that could be making that up. What proves you're a leader is going deeper. And so that's what I'm really about. It's like, I'm not even asking for receipts, right? There's people I know who have like, money wins, like, where's the proof? Where's the receipts? I'm not about, like, that's not what I'm saying either. What I'm saying is, say, for example, a client of yours has come and they are really struggling to sort of hit that next level, right? They've been making maybe $5,000 months, and they're wanting to hit 20, but they're like, oh, that's maybe 5 years from now, right? And you make it happen. Working with you, you make it happen. And for you to just then go and make a reel or something like that, and you're like, my client didn't think 20K months was possible, but after 30 days or after 2 months together, it is. Like, that is the starter. Can you imagine if you were asked up on stage to speak and they're like, tell us about this story. How did it happen? And you're just like, yep, that's what happened. That's what we did. And you're like, bye. People are like, honestly, like, what? It doesn't
Give us some context, please.
like that doesn't give people value, and that doesn't actually build yourself to be an authority that people trust. So break it down. Here are the 3 things we didn't do to take my client from 5K to a logical success 20K months, right? So this is what I'm saying, and it's not about like what I like, it's about what actually works.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, on that note, then, let's go into talk about content because you are the queen of it. So, let's say for a lot of people listening that they're stuck, right? They know Reels is a big thing. They obviously need to be on that. I actually think, and I want your opinion on this, but I feel like Reels and carousels, like carousels are doing just as well. But what would you say to somebody then that is a little bit stuck on where do they start? They want to show up more on social media, but honestly, they've got no ideas or they feel like they're not good enough.
Yeah.
And they don't even know where to start. What would be your easy tips for someone to just get started, create a content bank, and just go? Like, what's actually working?
So the big thing is that, yes, there's a lot of talk about like, oh, carousels are back, you can still get the reach and blah, blah, blah. My thing is, and I love carousels, there's a place for them. However, the most powerful content is video. And that's because you tap into the fact that people hear, people see, they're reading what you're saying, they're seeing you, they're hearing you. And when it's just text on a carousel or photos with a text, that doesn't have the same impact. You cannot make people feel in the same way that you can with a video. So whilst carousels, yes, are getting, better results again, video will always be most powerful. Videos will always be most powerful in sharing a story and getting people to take action. Be it join your email list, be it follow you, be it join your offer. Video is always the one. We're not just talking about reels. We're talking about you post videos on your stories. You could post a video with an Instagram live. Like that experience of seeing you, feeling you as a leader makes a really big difference. So if you're wanting to sort of really take 2025 as the year you absolutely dominate video, my biggest thing here is do not focus on what's trending. You will waste so much time and you will be just trying to keep up. Instead, hone in on what makes your magic. Why do people come to you? How can we bring that, right? Your experience, your story, your magic into videos. And that can be as simple as sharing the story of, my biggest fuck up in business, right? Like, oh, I cannot believe I ever allowed this to happen. And then take us through, okay? Allow yourself to share stories that make you such a leader, the lessons you've learned. I would start with that because people will learn so much more about you. And to be honest, I would rather hire someone who has learned the hard way than someone who just thinks they would know how to handle it in tough times.
Yeah, absolutely. What popped into my head while you were talking, that was all brilliant, by the way. Quickly, what's your human design?
Oh, I should know this. I think it's a generator.
Oh, I literally was like, I wonder if you were like a Manny Gen or whether you're a projector. I'm a projector. So yeah, please do it again. I would love to know because I'm just so interested.
Yes.
But I find too exactly what you're saying with video and things. I think it is just the above all else,
Yeah.
it's how you build connection, video and audio. Because if somebody can hear the way that you speak, your personality, your tonality, the words that you use, your sense of humor, you laughing at your own jokes, like whatever it is, I feel when somebody connects with that and that's how I feel like the energy is transferred that way rather than off a post. Nothing wrong with like carousels, posts, whatever. They're great. But I do feel like you need to at least have a blend of like speak. We need to hear you speak.
Yes.
And honestly, I'm so glad when you were saying that. I was like, I'm so glad I ended up putting my podcast on YouTube because I feel like it's just all lost magic. Like people watching when they get to watch this could watch it on YouTube and then they can see us like having this full conversation, our body language, like,
Yes.
you know, the silly faces that we pull when we're laughing, but we're like silent. Like, you can't, you know, I feel like it's magical being able to do this. Like, honestly.
Yeah,
Take a moment.
absolutely. Even on the line of when I talk about video marketing and everything, like people seem to forget that if you're doing a free masterclass, if you're doing a video training, like that is video as well. You have the power to make people feel so that way they want to stay in your world. That way they want to join another offer. Video is all around us. It's not new. We grew up with ads, and I can absolutely bet you that there's an ad. If you like reflect back onto your childhood, there is an ad that you can remember. And that is the power of video. It gets to literally take up real estate, right? I call real estate, but like, you know, like real estate in your mind because it's tapping into your subconscious. It's making you feel. It's creating memories, not just short, like super short-term memories. You have the ability to create long-term memories so that way, whenever anyone hears this particular song, they think of you. Whenever anyone hears like, you know, or sees maybe a mango and maybe you did like an analogy with a mango, they think of you. So it's the power is just so much more expansive than people currently see it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think as you were saying that, I was like, oh yeah, what are all the ads that I used to listen to? And you still know every word. Like if you were to hear them, you know every word. You might not have heard them for like 20 years. That's showing my age, but you might not have heard them for a really long time, but you're like, they're still in there.
Yes.
So a quick interruption just to let you know that this episode is sponsored by an incredible collaboration that I am doing with the incredible Nicole Towers, who is a fantastic human design expert. And we have created a program called Money Moves, the sequence to six figures. So this collaboration has been in the making for quite some time, and now it just feels like it is divinely aligned to bring it together and put it out into the world to help as many women as possible. So this is where we're going to blend the power of human design with wealth energetics and business mastery. So for those of you who are early stage entrepreneurs who are feeling stuck in the cycle of free downloads and cookie cutter strategies, this is your invitation to transformation, because the exhaustion of just trying everything without seeing the results that you really desire stops here. What makes this program really unique is the fact that you're not just getting one mentor, but two projectors who understand the depth of what it takes to really build a sustainable, aligned business. Nicole and I are both mothers, and we both bring our unique geniuses to this program. So Nicole's going to help guide you through your human design as your business compass, while I am going to help you unlock those deeper money blocks and step into your CEO mindset. So over 12 transformative weeks, we'll take you from feeling overwhelmed and scattered to becoming a confident, empowered CEO who trusts herself herself and her business decisions. You're going to learn how to create magnetic offers, build automated systems that work while you rest, and develop a wealth mindset that attracts so much abundance. The beauty of having two projector coaches is the fact that we just naturally go really, really deep. We're both very passionate about creating lasting transformation, not just quick fixes and not just following someone else's method, when we know that the key to success lies within you and your own unique way of doing things. So our combined expertise creates a powerful container for your growth, supporting you with both strategy and energetic alignment. So if you're feeling called to join us on this journey, then I invite you to get on the waitlist now for some pretty epic bonuses that you're not going to want to pass up. So simply visit the link in the show notes and we will let you know as soon as the doors open so that you can secure your spot. Now, let's get back to the episode. Okay, I've got another few questions for you. So, first of all, what was a defining moment in your life that shaped who you are today? Like, what was that turning point? You said that, a couple of years ago, you weren't as confident. You wouldn't have been able to take up space and claim it like you really are now. What shifted? Was there a moment that you just went, fuck it, I'm all in. I'm going to be me now?
I mean, there's a few. There's been quite a few. Like, I like to call them plot twists. Like if we're making a movie or a television series. And that's the other thing is when you are telling your stories, think of the plot twists. Think of the moments where everything fell to shit and things had to change, or you had a realization and things got better. Like these are the things that make conflict, if you will, in your videos, in your storytelling, that keep people engaged. All good books have something that goes wrong. And if it's just too good and easy, it gets boring, right? And the fact is, it's not about making problems in your life. They're all like you've already, even if you don't realize it, you've lived through it. You've picked yourself up, you've got through it. And that becomes a part of your story, and that becomes what shapes you as the leader you are today. So for me, definitely, I mean, one of the most pivotal moments in the past 2 years was I made my biggest investment. I joined a mastermind, and it was just so, like, it really was. It just all happened. When I reflect back on it now, it's like magic. I honestly think it was magic. It was meant to be, timing. Like it was just because the coach who I found, I literally found her. I think I just hit follow. And I went into her DMs and I'd seen on her stories that she was talking about a mastermind. And I messaged saying like, okay, I've literally been on your page for like 5 minutes. I feel triggered as heck by a lot of the things you're saying. I need to be in your world. Like, how do I get in your world? What's the mastermind? And she told me the investment. And I literally, from someone who, when I started my business and like $28 subscription to Dropbox per month was like, what? Like this was next level, right? And so it was a 6-figure investment to work with my coach. But there was just this pull. There was so many things about it. And I reached out to her, I spoke to her, and it wasn't an instant, okay, done, no worries, no big deal, cool, let's drop it. It was I feel such a pull to this. Like I feel really, really like this is how I'm going to step into a version of me who is more powerful, who is happier, who gets to lead their clients better, who gets to impact more. But in the same sense, it was an insane amount of money. And it did not make sense. It was such an illogical next step. However, after about maybe 2 weeks, I joined. And I still remember how insane it felt. I put it on my Amex so I could I paid a lot more, but I was like, give me all the points, right?
100%.
I was like, I know I'm paying a lot extra, but just give me these points. So she was in Canada as well. So, fortunately I had already, quite a while before this, I'd started charging everything I did was in US. And again, that was another thing that caused so much backlash when I did make that change. But my coaches, my mentors, so many of them are in the US or in Canada, and I'm not going to leave myself open to the fluctuations of the economy. Like that's not smart business for me to be having 90% of my outgoing expenses, right, to be in US, and then I'm charging all my clients in Australian dollars when a lot of my clients, one, are in the US, and two, like, that doesn't actually, I mean, I've had quite a lot of people come to me like, what's AUD? And I'm like, well, that's our currency over here. But, that would be really risky. What if I'm making 20K a month and I'm investing this amount, and then all of a sudden what I'm earning becomes less in comparison, and then I can't afford my mentor anymore. I can't afford, like, that is just bleh. So fortunately, I was already charging in US, but it still was a really big investment. And every step of this, the actual process of committing, the process of making an illogical next step, a illogical investment in myself, stepping into a space which I did not feel like I was big enough for. I did not feel like, I was like, what the heck am I doing here? Like, it was a mastermind as well. So it wasn't one-on-one. It was a really high level mastermind. And I remember for the first month, I was like, what the fuck? I should not be in here. But because I was in a room that I felt so entirely like I do not belong, well, I've paid to be here. And you can absolutely bet that I'm going to rise to the level that I believe I need to be in this room. I'm going to learn. I'm going to connect. And so this moment of me actually making this massive investment, going all in on myself, going all in on illogical next steps, brought the most illogical 2 years. It really changed me as a leader, as a coach, my self-belief, my belief in what I'm worth. And from there, I took the biggest changes I've ever made in my journey as a business owner.
Oh, I love that story because honestly, there is nothing more powerful than being in close proximity with women and leaders and entrepreneurs who are absolutely killing it, who literally make you feel like your big goals are just tiny, like teeny tiny.
Yeah.
It is remarkable to expand you and what you believe is possible, because when there's not people in your circle that are dreaming as big as you or doing the things that you want to be doing, you have to create your own circle. You have to go out there. And I don't know about you, but I feel like when I started my business and I started to put myself out there, just being me, the more I just stepped into like really being me and letting people see that, the more that I just built these beautiful connections with people. And all of a sudden you meet certain people, like I met you because I happened to connect with Jess. We had the mentor at the time. And then I had her on the podcast. Then she invited me to her book launch. And then I met you there. It's like this close proximity. You never know who you're going to meet on your journey. But when you are like-minded and you connect, and I think you can feel it in someone's energy, you're just like, oh, it's refreshing. It's like, you're you and you're doing big things and you're here to help me rise as well. I think this is a beautiful thing to come back to because there is no such thing as competition. I literally repeat this like a broken record, especially to my children. There is no such thing as competition with anyone other than the competition you have with yourself to be better than you were.
Yeah.
And the best way that you can do that is continue to reflect, refine, and rise. And if you don't have those people in your circle, you need to find them. And I did something similar to you. I mean, I've been in 2 masterminds now. And yeah, at first, like when you initially hear the investment, like you like want to vomit in your mouth a little bit. But something energetically shifts within your being and you just become different. It's like you collapse time between you and your higher self, the woman that you always have dreamt of being. All of a sudden you're like, holy shit, how did I get here so fast? Isn't it just magical?
Yeah. And I think as well, like,
there's one question I have to ask. Oh, sorry, you go.
No, I was just going to say, just quickly, like, people say quite often, like, if you want to be making X amount, if you want to be living this life, like, start showing up as that person today. And this is the thing, right? Is like, in that moment, I 1000% showed up as that person, that highest version. Like, I could have said, oh, I'm not there yet, I'm not ready yet. But I was like, no, if I want to be her, I'm going to show up right now as her. And that right there, like, I just think is so underrated, because what led from that decision was literally like me driving at 200 kilometers on the freeway, because I just passed all these things that I could have learned the hard way. But no, I decided to show up as that higher version right there, right then.
About this acting as if,
Yes.
and we hear it all the time, and it sounds really simple. It's actually really like challenging when you think about it, because again, as that confidence that you've got to kind of fake it until you make it, in the sense of like fake it for yourself until you like trick your subconscious into believing like you're already her.
Yeah.
Because then you act differently. And when you begin to think differently, feel differently, you'll act and behave differently. Therefore, you're magnetizing exactly what it is you want, or better than you could imagine,
Yeah.
is coming towards you.
Yeah.
When you were explaining that you found your mentor and you were literally on her page for all of like 2 seconds and you just inquired, why did you buy so quickly? Like, what popped into my head was, what
Yeah.
was the thing that got you from instant follower to instant high level purchaser
Yeah.
within moments? Like, what was it?
Yeah, and I like the amount of times as well, like one of the lessons that I learned from that in itself is, anytime I'm like doubting, like, oh, people aren't buying right now, I'm like, hang on a second. There was no reason I should have bought in that time. We were going through this, loans were changing, like I was going to be XYZ, but I still moved. And so you can even use your own actions as proof that it's possible, right? Like, if I can do it, my clients can do the same thing. So for me, she stood out. It did not feel like anybody else I had seen. And there was everything I was reading, I was like, like, this is unlocking parts of me that is so afraid, is so like, oh, like, this is gonna make some big, like, I'm gonna have to really change in ways that I don't want to, in ways that feel uncomfortable to be in this world. And it was just like that speaking to my soul, that I was like, okay, we're in. So it really was the messaging that she had in her content that was really like, okay, yeah, let's do this.
It was really dialed in.
It was so
So it
dialed
wasn't
in.
vague.
Yeah, and as well, like, it was speaking to, this was a really, really important thing that I had learned again from this experience, was she wasn't actually talking to where I was. So I felt like she was speaking to my soul, but it's not where I was currently. She was speaking to sort of my soul of where I wanted to be, a little bit higher than where I was. And so this is the thing, is a lot of people are speaking to a version of their dream client, and they're actually speaking like lower than where they, like, that's the miscommunication in a sense there. So allow yourself to sort of speak to, oh, you're struggling with this, you're struggling with that. Like, honestly, like, yes, there's still things that aren't fine-tuned, but perhaps your dream client isn't actually struggling. Things are good, but they want better. So it's these sort of things where, stop reading into how everyone else is saying it and really just dial into your dream client, have more conversations with them, listen to them, and start really using their words and speaking to that version of them that they want to step on into.
It's that whole piece of, instead of marketing to their pain, market to their desires
Yes.
and what they actually want. I think too, you seem to attract more empowered buyers that way when you're speaking to that next version of them. Like, speak to their higher self,
Yes.
because then they're going to be like, hell yeah, that's what I want.
Yes.
But
And it's even the
otherwise,
transformation. It's like the transfer, like, yes, it's the pleasures, yes, it's the what they desire, but it's also about like that transformed version of themselves. Like, what does that look like? What does that feel like?
yeah, not speak to the things that she's just over and doesn't want to hear about anymore, because she's like, I want to move through that.
Yeah, like,
And
it
of
still has
course,
a
that still
place.
comes in, right? Because there's still
Yeah.
blocks. Yeah. Oh, I love it. This is such a juicy convo, which I knew it was going to be, because we could like talk for
We
days.
could.
Couple more questions and then we'll wrap it up. What's a belief that you once held about money and success that you've now debunked?
Oh, yeah, this is a good one. And it's remained on my vision board. It's
Mm-hmm.
a, it's a tree with money on it, right? because I feel like, especially like our parents growing up, a very common one was like, oh, turn the lights off if you're not in the room. Money doesn't grow on trees. Like, eat all your food. Money doesn't grow on trees. And money not growing on trees, money not being easy to make, money being you have to work hard, you have to work long, you have to work years to get to this place, was a big, big belief. And I'm very grateful. My parents worked very, very hard to get to where they were. My dad was a business owner himself. And that was both a blessing and a bit of a curse in a sense, because I had seen how hard he worked, and I had these beliefs. Money doesn't come easily. Money doesn't grow on trees. So what I started to shift into was, no, money does grow on trees. You just need to go and find them. You need to go out and look for them, right? And what I've shifted this and why it's still on my vision board was literally probably in the last 6 months, when I've had this really like dialed up the self-belief a lot, was you don't need to go out and find the money trees. You are the money tree. You just need to find yourself, find your own power that is the money tree within you. So that's sort of like the transformation, this belief. I started to shift, and then I shifted again. And that's been like a game-changing one.
Oh, I love that you are the money tree.
Yeah.
So everyone listening, just repeat that affirmation. I am the money tree.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. That kind of covers one of the questions that I was going to ask, is what was the advice you'd give to your younger self about money? But I feel like you just nailed it there. I am the money tree, younger self. So repeat that. How do you then measure success in your career and or life?
I measure it definitely on how I feel going to bed at night. Like, do I feel calm?
Yeah.
Do I feel unbelievably grateful? Do I feel like in awe? Do I look back on the day being like, what the heck? Like, this is my life. I'm excited to wake up tomorrow. I'm excited to do this tomorrow. I think that that's really what I measure it on. And it doesn't mean that it always has to feel like that, because it doesn't. There's going to be times where there might be deadlines, there might be things that are a little bit riskier and have got me out of my comfort zone. But at the end of the day, how I feel going to bed at night, and as well, I lost my train of thought, was, how many times I feel like this is my life. Like, because I still do that. I still do that every time. Every time I get a sales notification, I'm still like, this is my life. And the more I do that, I'm like, okay, life is good. You know, like, it might be the middle of the week, and my brother said, oh, can you, are you by any chance free? Look after my niece, right? And I'm like, yep. I'm like, this is my life. Like, no 9 to 5. No, like, my day looks like this, dropping everything because I want to, because someone in my family might need me. And also that feels so freaking good that I get to go hang out with my niece for the afternoon. And I'm like, that's my life. So it's all these things that really, like, that's the success, is being so in awe of your own life.
Yeah. I just romanticizing your life, right? And being grateful for those little things. But I feel like there is no better sense of freedom than being able to choose how you spend your time. And when you said that, I felt like all this emotion coming up, how you said you could just drop it and go spend the day with your niece. I think it's so beautiful that you have done this and stepped into this version of you, this powerhouse, so young too, Alisha. Like, you're so young. I wish that I had have had that level of confidence and self-belief and drive. I worked in corporate for 10 years, and then it wasn't until I had my second child that I started this business. And now I've got 3 children. So I truly wish that I had have done it earlier on, because then I would have always had that freedom of time. And it made me like feel that little bit of emotion come up, because I did feel trapped at a point in my life. But you just reminded me then how beautiful it is to be able to drop everything.
Yeah.
and spend your days how you want to, like this beautiful business. And for anyone listening that does feel like that, maybe you feel like you're a bit trapped in a part-time job, a 9 to 5, whatever it is, you can choose differently and you can take actions to eventually live that life that you dreamed of. And it might just happen quicker than you imagined. I've told this story before on the podcast, but I'm going to say it to you because you'll get it. But for the last year, in 2023, my last year of corporate, my laptop password that whole year was full-time CEO 2023. Now, when I set that password at the beginning of 2023, I was like, I'm hopeful that it happens. I'm doing the things, but I wasn't really sure. And then I shit you not, December 20 was my last day. I did it. And never felt more proud. That's how quickly it can come. Like literally February 2023, I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to set this. So I'm just going to remind my subconscious every single day, every time I log into this goddamn job that I don't love, that it's happening.
Yeah.
I love those kinds of stories too. What's something else that you've manifested recently that you're just like, pinch me? I cannot believe it. Obviously, other than Freedom Queen, because that was epic. But is there anything else recently?
Yeah, look, like definitely I'm like looking at my vision board, but also that's this year. Even as much as just the other day, I was really getting clear on like I wanted to bring in some one-on-one clients, but it doesn't feel like a lot more effort, a lot more of my time. It feels fun, it feels flow. And so I opened up a space, an opportunity for a few one-on-one just Voxer clients. So rather than having the call, it's just through Voxer. They just tap in when they want. They ask questions. We bounce back and forth, right? And so literally I was just crafting this, and so quickly I had someone join, but it wasn't just about that. It was like that the client who joined was so much more beyond like who I would have called in like before. Like the client was just so aligned with who I have on my vision board of who I'm supporting. And they were in that day, and instantly like we started to feel that flow and joy, and I was like, I love my job. I love this. I love that this is like what I call as work. So, you know, it's really
Yeah.
it's really things like that is just so fast, and it doesn't have to be as big as being flown across the world to speak on a stage in front of your most dream audience. Like frick, that is up there, right? That is just up there. Wow. But it doesn't have to be something as like, it can be something as simple as like calling in your most dream client. And I didn't just call in one, I've got like, we called in quickly two. And that right there, I'm like, far out. Yeah, cool. I've got some more reoccurring revenue. That's awesome. But I get to support these women, you know, 3 days a week. I get to be in there. I get to be, you know, coming up with these ideas with them. And that lights me up so much. And that supports the other things that I want to become my reality this year. So it's all like a puzzle piece. And as soon as I like put one piece in from the vision for 2025, I'm like, oh, this is going to be big. This is going to be a really big year. So I think that's the first one that comes to mind there.
Isn't it just phenomenal, the fact that you can think of an idea at the top of your head and then you put it out there and then people buy?
Yeah.
It will never get old, honestly. It will never get old. I remember sitting there one day on the couch with two of my kids, had them under each arm, and then a notification went through. And then another one went through. And this was a while ago, like maybe 2 years or something ago. And I remember sitting there going, oh my God, I just made 4 figures, like just sitting here
Yes.
within 20 minutes. I was like, I'm sitting here on the couch on a Saturday morning with my babies, watching cartoons with them, and my phone's just going off, and I just made 4 figures in. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I just remember that moment being like, more of this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, spot on. And especially because in this moment, like, it was also like far more than what I used to think I would be capable of. It's, you know, I just raised my prices as well. And so it's like being in that fear, but still bringing it to your reality. Like, again, there's so much magic in it, and you're not going to experience it unless you're able to step forward and, you know, like less about confidence. It's more about courage. And I think that's the really big thing that has allowed me to become so much more, believe in myself so much more, be much more confident. It's because of the courageous action that I've taken.
More courage
Yeah.
over confidence, because it really is like you have to be courageous, because confidence isn't something that You can't just flick a switch and all of a sudden you're confident. You've got to be courageous. You've got to be brave. You've got to be bold. You just got to do it and it will come.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, some final questions. What's a book that's deeply impacted your life? We love personal development over here. And I'm a book nerd.
All right. There are definitely a few, like Rich as Fuck. Like it's just it's one of those classics. Like, but I remember one of my first mentors bought me it. And that was something that deeply, deeply changed the way that I saw wealthy people, the way that I saw money. And that was definitely one that unlocked. I'm reading one at the moment. I usually just read everything on Audible these days, but I got given it and I think it's on Amazon, but it's called Body Talk. And a lot of people have messaged me because I sort of just briefly posted it up on my stories. And they're like, what book was that? And it's barely even out. But I know the author and she's created this book on talking with your body when things don't feel comfortable. Her whole approach is so different to any other person I've heard of. And as someone who likes to move, as someone likes to dance, it is resonating with me in a whole new way. And I just feel like a buzzing of a whole new power that's about to come. So those are the two that I think of.
Body Talk. And who was the author of Body Talk?
Shayna Raskin.
Beautiful. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to have to definitely put that in there because I had never heard of that one before, but that sounds so interesting. So my last question, what is the vision then for your business this year? What can we expect from you?
I think it's definitely global domination. We're building this further. We're more unapologetic, more discovering and sharing my magic with the world. And for me, really, it's just letting go of clients, relationships that I can't truly be my best self with. There are clients that I'm changing their lives, and that's not going to happen if I'm holding on to clients who XYZ. So really, it's just turning up the notch again. Global domination, global fire, and sharing global magic, really.
Go big or go home, okay? That's how we started this episode. Go big or go home. It's how we're going to finish it.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And everybody, you can connect with Alisha. All of her links are going to be in the show notes as well. She also has a podcast. So everything is going to be there where you can find her, the social impact. And thank you so much. I cannot wait to see you again in person. I don't think we live that far. You're in Melbourne. So I can't wait, but thank you so much for coming on. I've loved this conversation. I feel like we could just keep going, but yeah, it's been phenomenal to reconnect with you again. And I also just want to acknowledge you for the work that you're doing. I think it's remarkable how many people's lives you're impacting and about to impact as you take over the world. It is going to be such a beautiful story and unraveling, and people need that gift that you have. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of the incredible future episodes and guests that we have coming up for you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our email list. Be sure to do so because we have some pretty epic things coming this year, as well as a mini magazine that will be sent to our subscribers every single month to help you with all things money and mindset, personal development, and entrepreneurship to help support you on your journey. So until next time, the world needs more kind-hearted women like you with deep pockets. So keep moving forward and never give up. I'll catch you in the next episode.